So if you're traveling for Thanksgiving, you might want to leave now. Yeah, unfortunately, maybe time to try your new favorite airline, the bus.
As of now, the best way to travel for Thanksgiving will be grabbing a Macy's balloon and hoping for wins. Take me home, SpongeBob!
They got jokes about something that is no laughing matter if you are stuck at the airport, whether that's for work, pleasure, or ultimately the busiest day of the year to travel, Thanksgiving. This government shutdown is well known now in the culture. Trump can see the problem. He's actually specifically blamed the shutdown for what looks like a wider rejection of his policies on Tuesday. He may have wanted to narrow it to that, something that he thinks involves Congress and, frankly, the other party. Millions of Americans are now heading to food banks more than usual because they're not getting food benefits from the government. Trump's administration is still fighting in court to deny people food assistance after losing. We have more on that. Hundreds of flights canceled and more delayed. Take a look.
Stress and staffing shortages among air traffic controllers as the government shutdown continues.
We will cancel a flight as long as the government requires us to.
Denver canceled.
No other flights available.
I am absolutely crashing out over the fact that I have to change my flight or else I do not know if I'm going to get home.
Food pantries are so overwhelmed tonight. There's so much demand and not enough supply.
With the government being shut down and my husband not being paid.
We're going to have double the families, but the donations are down across the board because of uncertainty.
I went to the food bank for the first time ever.
I feel like a failure because I can't feed all my children.
We're back with our guest, Jason. That's how it's playing out while Democrats are telling the government and really the public if the new offer is if you'll just do a year of health care and we can deal with the debate later, we can reopen everything. Your view?
I mean, from a messaging standpoint, as cold as that may sound, it's a brilliant move by Chuck Schumer, and I don't think anyone has uttered that sentence in months. I mean, this puts this squarely on the shoulders of the Republican Party that they're not willing to reopen the government just to fund health care for a year. It's literally kicking the can down the road until the midterm elections. But all right, I think that the deeper issue is this. This kind of economic disruption isn't going to be magically solved, even if the government were to reopen next week. You've got people who are behind in bills. You've got people who are going to start getting eviction notices. You've got people who can't pay tuition. This is a crisis in the making and a crisis that's been ongoing by the Republican Party. The Democrats have a better idea. They have a better position, and Trump is leading his party to ruin.
Michelle?
Well, I think that the election showed pretty definitively. I mean, the polling has also showed that voters are blaming Republicans for the shutdown. And I think that the election confirmed that. So, I mean, as kind of brutal and gutting as this is for so many people, it would be malpractice for Democrats to fold without getting something substantial for, I mean, not just their voters, but for voters in general. There's no reason that all of this should have been for nothing when even the president acknowledges that this shutdown is hurting him, even as he kind of shows very little urgency or flexibility in trying to end it.
Democrat Chris Murphy was talking about all of this from the halls of Congress. Take a look.
I think there's a real gravity to what happened on Tuesday. The electorate spoke really clearly. Voters were telling Democrats they want us to stand up for what we believe in, and they want us to use our power. Don't ruin people's lives as we head into the holidays. So we need a negotiation.
Jason?
All right, at this point, not just after the election, but the numbers of people who are suffering, the numbers of people who aren't going to get SNAP benefits, the people who are just read a story about teachers abroad at military bases who aren't getting their pay and they don't know how they're going to be able to get home. The Democrats are not just wise to hold their position. Frankly, at this point, I would be the wire. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. I would be going back and saying, look, we offered you this. We're going to ask for more, because if you're going to be that recalcitrant, why should we hold back? Why shouldn't we just make it abundantly clear what the American people actually need? If the Republicans were smart, they would cut a deal and pay for Obamacare subsidies for 3 years. Just push it off to the 2028 election. But as long as this keeps going on, their party will continue to fail. And even if the government opens back up, people are going to blame them for this, and they're still going to be angry by next fall's midterm elections.
I want to show some of the headlines for Mike Johnson, Michelle, because he's trying to play this a certain way. But as it grinds on, you see what's the point. He won't bring the House back. He refuses to promise a vote on the Obamacare subsidies, which is, of course, the issue. Maybe some Republicans could defect. MTG, who's often seen as coming from the right, calling him out. You know, we haven't had any person be a long-term Republican speaker, and they have a narrow margin. I'm curious, now that we're kind of a year into this experiment under the new Trump era, what you think?
You know, I have never been one of these people that thinks that everything is about the Epstein files. But I really do think that that has something to do with him not wanting to call the House back into session, right? As soon as he calls the House back into session and has to swear in the new representative, Gervalja from Arizona, they're going to have enough votes to pass the discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And so I can't think of another good reason for him to do what he's doing, because, I mean, everything else aside, just the optics of it, the optics of saying, we're not going to work. You know, we expect all these other people to work without getting paid, but we're going to refuse. It's just so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike Great Gatsby parties. It's almost just galling that they are taking what is for them paid time off, because they're not holding votes and they're not meeting up and they're not even pretending to gather and vote on what could be the negotiated solution, as you say, while other people work without pay and go to food banks. It's really something, but Tuesday shows that the voters have something to say about it as well. Jason and Michelle, thank you both on a range of topics. Interesting stuff.